Hello everyone! It's time to rediscover the joys of a Pokemon adventure with just one companion. And what better way to do this than in an unexplored region on the channel, that of Unova. This time, it's the adventure of Pokemon Black 1 that will be honored. The first of the DS games, but certainly not the last, rest assured. And what better way to inaugurate this generation than by seeking out a type that has received some of its best Pokemon with Volcarona, Scolipede. Another unique dual type is Galvantula, and its pre-evolution Joltik, both bug and electric. So, for this playthrough, we're going to try to finish the game with only this electric spider. Now, I see a lot of comments on previous playthroughs denouncing having seen several Pokemon in the team, and I don't blame them, since comments are good for the YouTube algorithm, but as I always specify in the starting rules, in solo challenges, HM slaves are allowed. Without these Pokemon that can surf across lakes or simply cut down a bush, very few Pokemon could finish the games, and that will be the subject of a separate series. Note that for this playthrough, some 2 versus 2 battles are mandatory, and we will have to capture and battle with Reshiram, but obviously, for these exceptional battles, our other Pokemon should remain as passive as possible. So, without further ado, the challenge can begin. In our room, we receive a gift from Professor Juniper, our Joltik. As you saw on the screen, we immediately battle our 2 rivals, which creates chaos in our room. But the adventure can now begin, well, when we're not interrupted by our rivals, the Professor, or another character. This is going to become a recurring theme in these games, suffering from the first problematic symptoms of recent games with lots of interruptions. Nonetheless, we still managed to reach Accumula Town, the neighboring city, and after a few stops, we witnessed the first parade of Team Plasma. The storyline of these games is probably the deepest in the entire series, and it will follow us throughout the game, especially with characters like Getsis and N. After this parade, N questions us. He then challenges us, and despite our low level, we can defeat his Purloin, first by paralyzing this Pokemon, and then slowly using our super effective Leech Life attack. It's not very powerful in Gen 5, but it allows us to heal a little bit each turn, and that will make a difference in the long run. We take Route 2 and once again an interruption. This time it was for running shoes, so it's somewhat justified. But at the end of the route again, we have the pleasure of being caught up by Bianca, who challenges us. To defeat her, we more or less use the same tactic as against N, but by exploiting the new move we learned in the mandatory battles on Route 2, String Shot. Because of these battles, our Leech Life doesn't have many PP left, and paralyzing Lillipup and lowering its defense allows us to use Leech Life 3 times at most to defeat it, in addition to recovering HP from any damage it inflicted on us. Thus, once Oshawott is sent out, we have enough damaging attacks, and we can employ the same technique again. Bianca is defeated, granting us access to Striaton City. We can go find Charon, who patiently awaits us in the trainer's school, to, as usual, challenge us. As he's supposed to be our main rival, he has the type advantage with his Tepig, so, with our 20 power attack, we can't really do much against the Piglet. Our attack is simply ineffective, so we'll have to train our Pokemon. In the 5th generation, the experience gained in battle has changed, and depends on the level of the Pokemon you're facing compared to yours. So, as we're at a low level, it only takes us a dozen battles to level up by 3 levels and face Charon again with a stronger offensive force. At this level, we can even withstand its fire attacks and recover some HP with our String Shot, which slowly drains Tepig's health. When Purloin comes in, we have the type advantage, and it's knocked out in 2 hits. The battle is won, allowing the person blocking the gym to step aside. We can now prepare for our first challenge. The champions of this gym, or rather, the trio of monkeys from the 5th generation, present a challenge. Obviously, the difficulty lies in the fact that the trainer we face is Silent, who owns Pansear, and therefore a type that has the advantage against us. But before that, we have to deal with his Lillipup, and it's going to be a good way to set up, so to speak. Against the gym trainers, we gained a level, and therefore the move Fury Cutter. While it may not be very strong at first glance, it's one of those attacks that, when chained several times, hits harder. Those who have seen the episode with Psyduck surely remember why it was important to hinder this move on Scyther. So once we've neutralized Lillipup, we can start our series of Fury Cutter, and it activates its effect. In 3 hits, Lillipup falls, and when Pansear enters the scene, our attack can bring it down to the orange health range. Obviously, its fire attack hurts a lot, and we benefited from a critical hit, but that's part of the Pokemon battles concept, maximizing your chances of success. And for a first attempt, it's not bad to defeat the champion of the first gym. This victory brings forth a new chapter of the adventure. We first encounter Fennel through Professor Juniper, who hands over the HM cut, granting us access to the Dream Ruins east of the city. Supposedly, we're meant to encounter a Pokemon created based on a line from the 1st generation games, and when we do, 2 members of Team Plasma intervene, presumably to cause trouble. We dispose of the grunts, resolve the conflict, and continue on our journey. We encounter Charon again for another rival battle. With Furry Cutter, we manage to defeat him without much trouble. After the battle, we have a retrospective moment, recalling the individuals who interrupted us the most during our journey: Bianca, Juniper, and Team Plasma grunts. We resolve to deal with them, and with Charon's help, we take care of the brainwashed individuals and their patrats. Finally, the path is clear to the southeastern city of Unova. Unova. Upon reaching Nacrine City, Sharon interrupts us. Nacrine City also hosts a Pokemon gym, and as we attempt to access it, we are challenged to a battle by N. Due to our efforts in saving the region, our Pokemon has leveled up and learned its first electric attack, Charge Beam, which is especially powerful, being our Pokemon's best offensive move. Consequently, N's water and flying type Pokemon are easily dispatched, along with the Timber. However, the gym battle proves to be much more challenging. Our Charge Beam barely scratches Herdier, while it hits us like a truck, to put it in English terms. Thus, we embark on an intensive training session. Unfortunately, at this stage of the game, and generally in this generation, it's not easy to continue the adventure organically to train our Pokemon. This is one of the drawbacks of the new games. Their linearity limits the challenge and fun. After a long grind for experience points, primarily battling Herdier since it yields more XP than wild Pokemon, we managed to reach level 26. As expected, in this battle we simply overpower the opponents, considering the limited number of TMs available. With 2 Charge Beams, we can take down Herdier in 2 hits while avoiding unnecessary damage. Against Stoutland, it's a similar strategy. We utilize our Electric Stab move, enduring its attacks, thanks in part to an Oran Berry we received. Despite the champion healing their Pokemon, we eventually emerge victorious. The basic badge was hard-earned, but necessary to continue the adventure. I wish I could tell you that the next part of the adventure is a continuous shot on a bridge leading to the next city, but we have to wait a bit because Team Plasma has struck again, this time robbing the museum below the gym. They flee and we pursue them with the 3rd gym leader into Pinwheel Forest to retrieve the stolen item. Then, we head towards New York, or rather, Castelia City, even though it's essentially the same city. While the game has been criticized in this video, it must be acknowledged that it boasts the most beautiful graphics among 2D games, and as we cross the bridge, we can't help but admire the architecture as we head towards the next city. Everything in Castelia City is vast, and finding the gym isn't easy. When we attempt to access it, the gym leader directs us to appear for a series of encounters with Team Plasma. Once the situation is resolved, and frankly one wonders if our intervention was necessary again, we can return to the gym to face Burgh. His preferred type is Bug type, and he starts with a Venipede. In 2 hits, we defeat the pre-evolution of Scolipede. His backup is Dwebble, and we stick to our strategy, overpowering it with our electric attack, which also decreases the opponent's speed. Finally, Burgh sends out Levani, a Bug Grass type. Firstly, it's worth noting that it shares the same dual type as Parries, a mediocre Pokemon from the 1st generation. Secondly, this means we can use Bug Bite, a physical bug move that allows us to eat the opponent's berries. Even if the opponent uses 2 Hyper Potions, we can still defeat it with Bug Bite, since its grass moves are easily countered. With that, we secure the 3rd badge, the first on the continent. We continue our journey north through the desert, seizing the opportunity to collect a significant item introduced in the 5th generation, the Eviolite. This item has revitalized many Pokemon in strategy battles, boosting their defenses by 50% in battle, allowing them to withstand more hits, especially in upcoming battles. Indeed, as we resume our journey, we encounter our rivals. First is Bianca in the exit tunnel, and just 10 steps further, Sharon awaits us for a battle, which proves to be more challenging. He starts with Pidove, which we swiftly defeat with Electro Ball, our new electric move, which is particularly effective against slower Pokemon. For example, the next Pokemon, which boosts its speed with a fire move. Firstly, we resist its attacks well due to Eviolite, and secondly, thanks to Paralysis, its speed drops significantly, allowing us to one-shot it. Sharon's 3rd Pokemon is Pansage, and with our good type coverage, it falls to our Stab Bug move. Finally, Liepard, a fast but also weak Pokemon to Bug type moves, falls without much resistance. We win the battle once again, but Stoutland was quite tough to deal with without the Eviolite. Having defeated our rival, they'll leave us alone for roughly a street's length until the next town. It's worth noting, however, that the route is a straight line, which feels like a waste given the game's graphics. Before entering Nimbasa City, Professor Juniper intercepts us to remind us to catch Pokemon and gives us Hyper Balls. It's clear she's not subscribed to my channel and hasn't seen my solo challenges, where capturing Pokemon isn't necessary. By the way, you're not subscribed either. Yes, you, watching this video. According to statistics, only 10% of people watching my videos are subscribed to the channel. So, if you enjoy my content, you should subscribe. Not only will you not miss the next video, but you'll also significantly help the channel grow and offer more content. For those who were wondering where Bianca had gone, and I'm sure many of you were concerned, she was participating in contests in the city and then going through her teenage crisis with her father. The advantage of this confrontation is that we meet Elisa, the champion of this gym and also a top model, and her opinion clarifies the discussion. The world is vast and populated by very different people. Everyone has their own way of thinking, even if it is very different from ours, even if it can sometimes hurt. With these beautiful words, the father finally steps back and accepts his daughter's decision. That's a relief for us. We're finally free from the script, able to take control again. We head to the gym and encounter N, who generously offers offers us a ride on the Ferris wheel and a 4-on-1 battle. The cinematic is nice, but if we have to make several attempts against the trainer, we obviously have to ride the wheel again each time and listen to N's words claiming to save the Pokemon. I think I just understood the tactic of Team Plasma's propaganda. Anyway, after several attempts, N is subdued, albeit barely, and the gym is finally free. We join Alesa for a showdown against her electric Pokemon. The duel doesn't go too badly. The Emolgas take electric attacks neutrally, and Zebstrika gets a taste of Signal Beam, our first special bug attack. In 3 hits, the Zebra is defeated. A new badge is acquired, opening up new horizons. Well, more like a new horizon to the west. A bridge leads to Driftveil City, our new destination. As usual, a battle against our rival, the issue with Team Plasma, which we resolve this time in the refrigerated hangar, and finally a gym to beat, Clay's. It's the ground type, and obviously, given our profile, we're going to struggle with this battle. So we'll have to do a new intensive XP session in the area to be able to pass the champion. And here's how the battle went. Clay starts with a Krokorok, and logically, it's taken out in 1 bug attack. It wasn't great for a first Pokemon. But then, here comes the official counter of Joltik, the famous Excadrill. Faced with this ground and steel type Pokemon, none of our spider's attacks are super effective, while it can hit us with ground or rock attacks as it pleases. So it took a lot of attempts before we could even hope to get through. We keep hitting it with Signal Beam, hoping to drain as much HP as possible. And of course, the champion uses Hyper Potions, which essentially give the mole a second life. Because it's confused, we can hope not to be attacked, and that's what brings the victory. But there's still 1 Pokemon left. Seismitoad enters the field, and of course, since we're overtrained, with 1 bug attack, we 2-shot the ground and water Pokemon. Finally, the badge is in the bag. It was laborious, but at least we can continue the adventure. This leads us through Chargestone Cavern, the place where we can capture Joltik. The highlight of this dungeon is a duel with N, and since we're still overtrained, he's dismissed without having to redo the cave. Good news. Here we are in Mistralton City, a city where there is an airport, and we are sent to fetch Skyla in the Sky Tower, a little further away. We activate the bell, and then we can leave. But in this place, the cords don't work, so we have to do everything on foot. We return to Mistralton City to enter the gym, and after beating all the trainers, we can confront Skyla and her bird Pokemon. Obviously, given the context, we don't even need to heal, and all the birds are instantly toasted. The 6th badge is requisitioned, and we can head to the next city. We meet Champion Alder on the way. We enjoy the view with this superb road where we have to reach the center. We arrive at Isirus City, and upon entering, we are told about the Drago Spiral Tower north of the city. Since we don't care about it at the moment, we go to the 7th gym, an ice type. The battle against Bryson is more or less similar to the first battles with the Electro Ball, and against the Vanillish, we first paralyze the opponent's Pokemon before sending it a ball that one-shots it immediately. Against Beartic, it's a bit more complicated, since it can resist our Electro Ball, so we must be ready to withstand an attack, which here is Swagger. We know this rogue technique well, and fortunately, we don't miss our attack. Bartic makes way for Cryogonal. Thanks to Paralysis, it also avoids being able to attack us, and in 2 hits, we defeat the Snowflake Pokemon. Bingo! The 7th badge is in the bag. Our rivals find us at the exit, as well as the Shadow Trio, who invite us to the famous Drago Spiral Tower. We don't really have a choice, so we go to this particular place. At the top, we witness the capture of Zekrom by N. He escapes with it, and we go to the buried castle. For not much in the end, since we receive a call from the professor to go to Nacrene City. There, we receive the White Pebble, which will be used for the rest of the adventure. The trainers of Opalucid City are dragon type, so they will tell us a little more about this mystical object, so we go to the city of the 8th gym to collect the last badge of the region. The gym is a course on giant, elongated dragons, and we will recognize the effort put into the design of the arenas throughout the adventure. Drayden awaits us for an epic battle, which he inaugurates with his Fraxure. We start with a Bug Buzz, but unfortunately, this attack is not enough to one-shot the dragon Pokemon, which is healed immediately by its trainer. He was able to slip in a Draco Dance, which is worrying. Our Electro Ball does some damage to him to put him in range of our insect attack next turn, and fortunately, we are even faster than the Fraxure. Druddigon is sent to take over the battle, and Bug Buzz is a 2 HKO. We only lost 21 GP. Next is Haxorus, which is logically more resistant than its pre-evolution, but uses Draco Tail Attack. Note that it was important to place his HM slaves in the PC for this battle, because if they enter the battle, because of the dragon, the challenge cannot be validated, and a reset is required. But the attack is not powerful, and we can 2 HKO the Pokemon. There, we finally collected all the badges of the region. We can say that we are ready to face the league of these games. Obviously, there is Victory Road, but once the mountain is climbed, we can access the elite of trainers. A small particularity since this generation, we can beat the members of the league in the order we want. So we logically start with the Dark type, which our Bug Stab should negotiate very easily. Grimsley starts the fight with a Scrafty, which is Fighting type, so it resists bug attacks. So we will favor the Electro Ball attack and its combo with Stun Spore, since there is a chance that the opponent's Pokemon will be paralyzed. It is not the case, and worse still, it is still a 2 HKO, so we take a Sandstorm, which will bother us for the rest of the fight. But fortunately, the talent of our Joltik is Compound Eye, so the accuracy of all its attacks is improved. The next Pokemon Pokemon is Crocodile, and with a Buzz, we can easily overcome it. Then comes Bisharp, the Steel and Dark Pokemon. It's a 2 HKO, even if its Dark Stab hurts us a lot. Lightbird is the next Pokemon, and we've faced dozens of them in the adventure, so we know it will have a hard time resisting our Bug Buzz after its bluff turn. It is therefore OHKO, and the fight is won against our first member of the Elite Four. Logically, we go to face the second Elite Four member, who is Psychic type, since it's again a type on which we have the advantage. Reuniclus starts the fight with a Symbiose, and our Bug attack puts its HP in the red. So we choose an Electric attack to save the PP of Bug Buzz, which are supposed to be precious in this league, because the members of the council do not skimp on healing when their Pokemon are a little too much in the red. So it's a 2 HKO, but we already take a Psychic. Sigilyph is sent, and we will first try to paralyze it without success. It also inflicts damage on us while we finish it with an Electric attack. It's Musharna's turn to come and face us, and we can see that the Pokemon is a bit too bulky for us and holds a Bug Buzz. Obviously, with Psychic, he can kill us next. You witnessed one of the 20 attempts against this champion. Probably not one of the best, but the sentence is final. We will have to train for this league, especially when we see the other trainers, whom we also tried to beat, who are of fighting and ghost types. So we go back to level 60, teeth clenched, and with significantly higher firepower. We one-shot the Reuniclus with Bug Buzz, the Sigilyph suffers the wrath of our Electro Ball after being paralyzed, the Musharna holds a Buzz, heals itself, and can finally be 2 HKO, as does the last Pokemon Gothitelle, which cannot withstand 2 Bug Buzzes. We have defeated 2 trainers out of 4, but for the next opponents, we are at a slight disadvantage. We decide to face Chantal, and it was not a walk in the park considering her lineup. The first Pokemon is Cofagrigus, and if in this battle we manage to paralyze it on the first turn, it's a crucial dice roll, because otherwise it hits us with the Will-O-Wisp attack. If we get burned, we're sure to lose the match, especially when Cofagrigus abuses Protect. The burn is actually more powerful in the 5th generation, as we lose 12% of health instead of 6 in the newer generations. Then we throw an Electro Ball, which isn't even guaranteed to one-shot it. But hey, if I'm showing you a battle, it's because it's a successful one, isn't it? The next Pokemon, Chandelure, is also a dice roll. We use an attack to paralyze it, and we just pray it misses its Fire Blast or can't act at all. Our Electro Ball doesn't always one-shot it. It's what we call a range, meaning the gap in possible damage. But in this match, we're definitely lucky. The next Pokemon is Golurk, a Pokemon that resists our Bug-type attack and is immune to our electric power. It's the first time we faced it, so it's difficult to say what its moves will be, but we still take the risk of using a low blow, a priority attack we saved for this duel, but which only works when the opponent attacks us. Unfortunately, it didn't kill the previous Pokemon. As a result, we're completely dominated by the opponent's Pokemon when we don't anticipate its trainer healing it, and we miss our attack. Everything needs to be redone, and the low blow did good damage in the first round, so we prioritize that attack again, but unexpectedly, it uses a curse. This attack is worse than poison in solo challenges, and if we manage to defeat Golurk with our next attack, we're in a critical position against the final Pokemon. Luckily, the final Pokemon is a Jellicent, but will we be able to one-shot it? We launch our electric attack, which isn't powerful enough. With a brine, we are eliminated from the league, being so close to the goal, considering the luck needed to get to this point. 13 attempts later, we face Golurk again. This time, it uses Curse right away, which is worse, even though we still have our full health. We can then finish off the Pokemon in one go, and finally, given the urgency of the situation, we try the low blow against Jellicent, and it hits. Finally, an unexpected victory before the fighting type and its Pokemon with determination, and unfortunately, rock-type attacks. We no longer need Sucker Punch, so we replace the attack with Charge Beam, a less powerful electric-type attack, but it boosts the special attack 70% of the time by 1 stage. Marshall starts the battle with a throw, and we won't wait to use a Charge Beam, as none of our attacks can one-shot it at this level. We receive our first Stone Edge, but we continue to boost our special attack with Charge Beam. It lowers our speed with Bulldoze, and when we want to finish it off, its trainer heals it, allowing us to hit it with 2 additional attacks, further boosting us. Throw then gives way to Sock, and same story, we attack it with Charge Beam. As it has the sturdy ability, it withstands our hit, but misses its attack. That's good. It gives us another 2 electric attacks to boost ourselves, because its trainer still takes the time to heal its Pokemon, and the longer these Pokemon are alive, the more we increase our special attack. So, when Conkeldurr enters the field, we can one-shot it, while Excadrill surpasses us, but its Rock Slide doesn't finish us, which gives us the chance to win the battle against the 4th League trainer. Once the Elite Four is overturned, part of the story with N resumes, and when we go up to face the champion, he has already been dethroned by the king of Team Plasma. Then Sharon arrives. It's starting to be a lot of trainers who have rolled over the league in a short time, and that's great. We'll be able to analyze that in an upcoming video. So, a palace emerges from the ground, and we are going to attack it with the help of the region's champions. We join N at the top, and he will summon Reshiram, which we must face. After knocking it out, it seems impossible to continue the game without capturing it, so we throw our Master Ball to settle the score with N afterward. The game forces us to send Reshiram first against N's Zekrom, but we won't obey his will, and and switch directly to our only Pokemon, Joltik. Obviously, it's not ideal to start the battle like this, and Zekrom uses Light Screen to tank our future special attacks. But we'll start boosting against this Pokemon with Charge Beam, even if it doesn't do much damage, and thus wait for the end of its protection before finishing it off and attacking the antagonist's next Pokemon with a very high special attack. Caracosta is sent out, and while we might think everything will go well with this water and rock Pokemon, it has the ability Sturdy, so it can hit us with a rock slide, and honestly, without the miss you see on the screen, we would have been KO'd. Once again, its trainer heals it, and then we have to repeat the operation until it's gone. The next Pokemon is the Fossil Archeops, and we one-shot it as well. For Klinklang, I'm not sure if we'll one-shot it before remembering that N's main Pokemon is Zoroark, and so with an electric attack, we one-shot it, even though Electro Web would have worked too. N truly sends out Klinklang next, and we take a big risk by paralyzing it, so that on the next move, our Electro Web is a nuclear bomb. Luckily, the Pokemon is locked, and we can dispose of it before welcoming the final Pokemon, a Vanillux. What a sense of service from N to have ice for dessert. It's one shot. We've defeated what seems to be the League, in addition to putting an end to the Team Plasma's organization. And that's where the game's plot twist appears. Ghetsis tries to take control of the world anyway, by betraying N, which allows us to face him in a crazy final match. The battle begins against his Cofagrigus, and we immediately start with Charge Beam to boost our special attack enough for Ghetsis' following Pokemon, which are potentially resistant to our 2 stabs. Cofagrigus takes advantage to poison us, but we have a Citrus Berry to heal during the battle. This decreases our defenses because we no longer have the Eviolite, but it was necessary not to die because the opponent trainer stalls us with Protects. With a second Charge Beam, we defeat Cofagrigus, and our attack is doubled because it's raised by 2 stages in total. Ghetsis' signature Pokemon is Hydreigon, but with our Bug attack, we can completely destroy this Dark Dragon Pokemon. The next Pokemon, Bisharp, is also Dark-type, so it's dispatched very quickly. Then comes Electros, but it's too frail for our boosted Bug Buzz, and it leaves with its tail between its legs. Bouffalant is more resistant, and that's where it gets worrying because it inflicts considerable damage to us. We can eventually overcome it, but the next Pokemon is a Seismitoad. We're forced to use our only Bug attack and pray. Fortunately, we one-shot it. Ghetsis is finally defeated. We finally finished the game with only a Joltik, and it must be said that it wasn't a walk in the park. The beginning of the adventure is relatively enjoyable until we get stuck against a gym leader, unable to progress. Whereas in the first and third generations, for example, we could dodge the second gym for quite some time. The same thing happens at the ground-type gym, where leveling up is the only solution to progress in the game because we can't get past Excadrill. Whether it's related to Joltik's move pool or a lack of TM distribution in the game, it diminished the challenge's interest for a part of the adventure, since our spider was overpowered. The last difficulty was the League, where some members were impassable without a monstrous stroke of luck or a significant level boost. But overall, Joltik's dual type is interesting since there are many Dark-type Pokemon in Unova, and I hope you enjoyed the challenge. Feel free to subscribe and suggest the next challenge you'd like to see in 2024. Thanks for watching, and see you soon for new adventures. Au revoir.